Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. I'm very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Hello and welcome back to Big Mouth, and you can keep this or any other conversation I ignite going on over on my Twitter at Movies TV Man, my Vero at Big Mouth 1, and the extension to this channel kind of is my crazy Instagram, Big Mouth 11289. Hello and welcome to my latest Doctor Who episode reaction, Fugitive of the Jadoon. How did David Tennant's Doctor say it, Dr. Ten? Jadoon. Do you remember when he kind of revealed their name for the first time? I love that. Anyway, welcome to my reaction of Fugitive of the Jadoon that I absolutely loved. I am loving this season, and a lot of people, including myself, have said this season's a course correction. But is it? The more I go back and look at season 11, yeah, I'm very brave, aren't I? But the more I go back and look at a season that didn't have much going on, it does seem part of a plan from Chris Chibnall. It really does. Because when I look at season 11 and I look at his wording before the season came out, and he said he wanted to go back to classic Who. And really, season 11 does do a lot of classic Who things. Classic Who, of course, because of the time, isn't the vibrant, exciting Doctor Who that RTD and Moffat gave us. It's very different. And if you look at it, maybe that's why we found it so boring a bit. So that's interesting. But the Timeless Child was mentioned. So it looks like this was always part of the plan. Now, the companions, the three companions, are they part of the plan? It's interesting, isn't it? I think some may and some will not. It's looking like Tosin Cole's got himself another job for next fall or next season, as us British would know it. Probably going to leave or be killed off. Doubt he'll be killed off, but he'll definitely be going. So that's interesting what happens with him as well. But let's talk about the three companions. I think throughout the board, season 11, last night's episode, and through season 12 so far as well. They are underdeveloped characters purposely. And let me tell you why. The reason that Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat's companions were so prolific is because most of them were female. So they wanted to give females a prominent role on the show, give them a journey, make them strong, But we have a female Doctor now. So from their ideology, they feel they don't need to make those companions anything because they've got an Indian actor, they've got a person of colour as a character there, and they've got a white guy there in Bradley Walsh. So basically to them, you're seeing society being reflected and represented via those companions. So you don't need to do anything with them. That's the problem with that ideology and that mentality. But it'd be very interesting in the finale. I do have a Graham theory, but this is a brilliant episode. Well done. Is it Vinay Patel? What a piece of great writing. But Chris Chibnall also penned this episode as well. Obviously keeping an eye on Vinay, making sure that what had to be injected into the arc from this season arc was there. And it was brilliant. And so really the story starts interestingly, and it kind of doesn't, you have no idea where this is going. So we have this woman of colour, who I can't remember her name, but I do have the actress's name actually, Jo Martin, who's been in Casualty or Holby. I've seen her before. She's a very good actor, by the way. So she's just an average, she seems like an average Joe or Joanne, whatever you want to call her. She gives out leaflets, she's got historical information, she seems very pleasant, very nice, we know nothing. But the boyfriend, the white guy, looks very suspicious. Isn't it funny though? It's funny that, anyway, I don't want to go into that, it's no point. But anyway, this guy, I was joking by the way, I wasn't trying to erupt a conversation or anything. But anyway, this guy looks a bit suspicious. So this baker, where Jo Martin's character goes in, he fancies her. He's got a dossier on the boyfriend. It's hilarious. So, it basically, to cut a long story short, it comes out that basically the Jadoon arrived, the Doctor arrives, the Jadoon attempts to stop the Jadoon, and they agree, and she goes in to try and peacefully sort out this situation. I will say Jodie Whittaker was absolutely immense in this episode, as she was in Spyfall episodes 1 and 2. The loneliness of the Doctor, the loneliness of a Time Lord. You see, what's brilliant about this episode is that this character thinks she or he, when she's a she or when she's a he, they have all the knowledge of the universe at their disposal. But something happens in this episode. Something happens so big that she didn't see coming. And it's knocked her for 6. And it's a brilliant performance by Jodie to show that. And she really does show that in a brilliant way. So basically, it's revealed that this woman is actually the Doctor. She's got a gun, not that she ever uses it. And I like the way they showed us she never had any intention on using it. But she's quite happy to booby trap it. And if that kills someone, so be it. This is a very, very early on, supposed to be an early on Doctor. We'll talk about this arc. That's not what I believe is happening, by the way. For you people saying, they're messing with Doctor Who lore, boo-hoo, damn them, damn them, damn them. You can imagine Bowstreck, right? He's going insane, neurotic. They're all going insane because it suits their channel and their audience, and it helps for bums on seats as well. But I'm going to explain it all to you. Anyway, right? So we have all that. So she's revealed as the Doctor, right? I would travel with this Doctor. I would watch her show. I would. Oh, you're going to say I'm a shill? I would. She was really, really good. I liked her. She was interesting. We didn't know everything about her. We don't know her history as the Doctor because she's before the others. Now, what I didn't get, the other woman who was basically hired by the person who hired her to hire the jadoon, are you keeping up? Now, she's a Time Lord, but was she a version of the Doctor too? Now, the Doctor scanned her with the Sonic. Now, she was a Time Lord, but we don't know if she was literally another version of the Doctor. So this episode could be like the 3 Doctors, right? Not a lot of classic Who fans would watch that. But anyway, so I'm not sure there. Comment down below and correct me if I'm wrong. Now, the BBC's official Twitter site all week has been warning us that if you thought the reveal of the Master was big and shocking, you haven't seen nothing yet. Now, I'm assuming they were not only talking about the returnee, which we'll discuss in a minute, but also the big reveal that there's versions of the Doctor that the Doctor never knew about. The Doctor can't remember. So it's very, very... They were teasing this. Look, they wanted us to know it was massive, and obviously they want to get some more live butts on seats, which never hurts the situation, does it? So the whole idea of this Doctor that our Doctor has never heard of, and she had a protector, a bit like Ten had in season 3 when he put that whole thing and rewrote his DNA and became human. That's what she did. That's why she couldn't remember. So they brought all that back as well. So it was awesome. But obviously, one of the biggest things about this week, John Barrowman, MBE, returned as Captain Jack Harkness. I love this character. This character is so important to me. This is the character that educated me. Being brought up by people with, let's say, homophobic views, Captain Jack was the character that educated me. That everything I was brought up to believe was so wrong. And seeing him kiss Christopher Eccleston's Doctor was such a big deal for me because I remember when Men Kiss Men on the telly and I used to go, But for the first time, I cried. I thought it was beautiful. And this is what happens. People are brought up by people from a different generation who have these horrible views and they put them into us. But television, when these things are done properly, when representation and these kind of things are done properly, it's beautiful. That's why I always say that representation does matter. It's just got to be done, mixed in with great writing and great entertainment and great character development. Basically, Captain Jack is that character. And John looks amazing. I don't know if he's had his face done or if they've CG'd his face, but he looks young. Obviously, he dyes his hair, but it's Captain Jack. He's back. And what happens? He beams. Well, let's just say he beams or transmats. That's the word they use on Doctor Who. Transmats Graham, a.k.a. Bradley Walsh. So Bradley Walsh is on this ship, which apparently apparently could be the TARDIS. That's what some fans are saying. Apparently John even mentioned the TARDIS. Anyway, he kisses Graham, aka Bradley Walsh, on the lips. Hilarious. It's brilliant. This is Captain Jack. Now, I'm going to talk about this later on. Captain Jack is now the second character this season to mistake Graham for the Doctor. I wonder if Chris Chibnall is trying to tell us something about what's going to happen in the finale with this arc. I'm going to talk about that later on. Anyway, right, so he has a good chinwag. I'm not the Doctor, blah, blah, blah. I love his reaction to him finding out that the Doctor's now a woman. Oh, I can't wait to see what that's like. And that's amazing to me. Instead of saying, yeah, that's a step up, that's a Captain Jack. Because Captain Jack comes from that other era of Doctor Who where you could do representation, where you could have strong women, you could represent people from the LGBT community, but make them characters, make them matter, rather than just saying, we've got one of you, one of them, yeah, just stand there and do nothing. That's the mentality I don't like. It's not representation I don't like. I even don't mind having a female Doctor. Isn't that kind of me? But the whole point is she's got to be good. And Jodie is getting better and better and better. Why? Because she's given something to do now. Because Jodie isn't a natural lead. She's a really good, solid actor. She's a really good, solid pro. She's played many, many different roles in her career. She's got a good, solid CV, but she's not a natural lead. So that just says how good she is, that she's starting to make it work. She's now becoming the Doctor for me. She's becoming my Doctor slowly and slowly. This sometimes the dialogue that she says that I don't think she pulls off, that's not because of her acting. It's just because she doesn't have the gravitas. It's not her fault. She was casted. She was always going to take the role. She's not going to say, I'm not going to take one of the biggest roles on in the world, and that's what Doctor Who is, right? If someone approached me to play the Doctor, I'm not going to say, I don't think I can do it justice. Fuck yeah, I'm playing the Doctor, one of my favourite characters, and I'm going to give it everything. And that's what Jodie did. But, last year I was critical of her. Last year I didn't see her as the Doctor. It's like in season 2 I was critical of David Tennant. I didn't see him as the Doctor. That wasn't his fault. That was my fault. That was my problem, right? But this is what this concept does with new actors playing this character. Anyway, she was amazing. She was amazing. And it was so good to see Captain Jack Harkness. And he had a warning because he actually transmatted the other two companions. Better give them a little bit to do, right? So, what's her name? Yaz, that's it, Yaz. I'm no good with names. It's not me being disrespectful. Anyway, so Yaz, Ryan and Graham are all there. And he basically says, right, they're after me, basically. I've got to go. I'll beam you down after I leave. It all happened, don't worry. But I've got a warning for the Doctor. The universe is in danger. Beware of the lone Cyberman. Don't do what it asks you to do. Wow! I mean, I've been looking forward to this Cyberman episode for such a long time. I don't think it's the next one. I think there's 10 episodes in the Chibnall era now per season, so I think that will be near the end. I think we've got... Apparently, we may even have a two-part finale. We had a two-part premise. I think we're getting a two-part finale. So we've got... So it's 6 next week, isn't it? So 6... I think we've got about 3 more standalone episodes, which will probably heavily include the arc. I love short seasons because it doesn't mess about with filler, although last year seemed very filler. But I'm going to go back and watch season 11 properly and give it a chance after I've seen season 6 because I think I'll appreciate it more. I think what happened last year, because I was one of those people who complained after episode 3 because I found episodes 1 to 3 really good. But I found episodes from 4 onwards really mediocre and watered down. And I think people kind of assumed that I was one of these people who was upset that we had a female Doctor. I mean, there was an episode where the Doctor's screaming about men. That wasn't very good either. These are the kind of things you have to avoid because you have... Most of the people who are watching Doctor Who are men. There's many women watching Doctor Who, and it's great. So many different people from classes, backgrounds, gender and colour watching Doctor Who. And that's what we want. That's important. But we mustn't put down anyone because we're all human beings. And if you want to include people, if you want to represent people, you do it the right way. So that was a problem last year. So I think people saw my complaints as some kind of... A lot of people are angry with this show because it cast a woman. I know that. You know that. and they wrap it up in different parcels. I wasn't. I liked Jodie Whittaker in Broadchurch. I thought she did a great job as a grieving mother. And I thought Chris gave her a great arc in that show. And I thought, give her a chance because she could do something great. And it just wasn't working for me. But now slowly, I'm really getting into the mentality of this doctor. And I'm not just saying that. And I'm not going to hate on her if she's doing, if she's starting to relate to me as the doctor. And I tell you what, one of my favourite moments from this week's episode is after she finds everything out. I must admit, I'm going to talk about the reveal of the other TARDIS. But in a minute, right, I love the bit when poor Ryan, is trying to be supportive. And she goes, you don't know me. I've lived for thousands of years. You don't know who I am. You don't know where I've been. So Yaz gets angry, rightly so, and says, you can't talk to him like that. And then, but poor Ryan's such a lovely boy, right, great character. He doesn't react aggressively to her. He loves her. That's like it's more than a friend to Ryan now. So I think whatever happens to him at the end of the season will be very sad and very emotional. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. So he says, no, we're family. He doesn't say family, he says family, which I think is great. But in this moment, Graham has this uplifting speech, and it's beautiful. But the Doctor never apologises to Ryan. In season 11, she apologised a lot. The Doctor should never apologise. The Doctor is arrogant. The Doctor is rude. Since William Hartnell's Doctor, all through the ages, even with New Who, the Doctor can be very, the Doctor is a contradiction in terms. Yes, he or she can be a hero. Yes, they can save the universe and save a life, but they can also do selfish things. They travel with human beings and other people and put them in danger because they don't want to be alone. So the Doctor's a contradiction, and the Doctor should never, ever say sorry for her or his bad behaviour. So I like the fact, after the inspirational chat, she never apologised and he was on to the next adventure. Now, on to the reveal of the other TARDIS in the grave. That was amazing. That was so good. And I love that. I love the way the director actually revealed that. It was so good. And, I just thought the whole episode. And the Jadoon is Russell T Davies' creation. And people say, oh, it's Chibnall just ripping off RTD. Is that what you said when RTD brought back the Cybermen and the Daleks? Of course you didn't. Is that what you said when Moffat brought the Cybermen or the Daleks back? Doctor Who is a legacy show. It's like doing DC movies and TV shows and Marvel. These are characters created by other people, not ripping off. We want new adventures of these characters, right? I thought the Jadoon were done so well. I liked them. I really did like them. And I liked the part they played. I was a bit worried that they were only going to be like the kind of thing that the Doctor had to solve. But I liked them. I thought they were very interesting. And I liked the fact that when she was going to kill the guy that was protecting the other version of that Doctor, that the Jadoon didn't like that. The Jadoon actually didn't like that. So I like the Jadoon. I thought we found a little bit more out about them. Do you know what? I think a Jadoon TV series would be freaking awesome. I think it would absolutely work. I mean, you're probably thinking, no, what's so interesting? But you can always take one of the Jadoon and make them a person, a character that you get to know. So I loved Jadoon, and they were great. Obviously, having Barrowman back as Captain Jack was a major highlight for me. I thought his performance was polished. I thought the writing for him was great. Obviously, the Doctor and Captain Jack haven't met. They are going to meet. He will be back this season. I have no doubt about it. I think when he did that, there were probably scheduling problems. But he's definitely going to meet the Doctor. I can't wait. And I think they're building it up. The great reveal. I've always had a theory that Captain Jack is actually the Doctor. Now, I put this to Russell T Davies a long time ago on Instagram, and he liked the post. That's all I'm going to say. Now, what is going on? How can there be other versions of the Doctor we don't know about? So everyone's really angry that they're rewriting history, that this was all leaked months ago, that there would be these pre-Hartnell Doctors mainly women of colour, right? By the way, don't give a shit. I don't care. Not offended, doesn't bother me, but calm down, everyone. You at the back, throwing tomatoes, calm down. They are not rewriting Doctor Who history. No. This is about the multiverse. There's obviously an alternate Earth, and these doctors are seeping through. Does this mean this master is from the alternate Earth as well? Could be, but maybe this master hasn't worked that out yet, that he's from the multiverse, right? So say if these pre-Hartnell doctors are actually from another Earth. Let's call it Doctor Who Earth 2, in layman's terms, so you can all understand, right? So these are multiverse doctors. These are not pre-Hartnell doctors. But that doctor, right, that we saw this week, that we've never seen before, is probably from another Earth, right? But she doesn't know it. She seeked through and she doesn't get it. She just thinks she's a pre-Hartnell doctor. She doesn't even know the Hartnell doctor yet, right? Of course, think about it. This can't work. The way the fandom menace are trying to sell this, that they're rewriting Doctor Who lore, they're not doing that. It's impossible. It's not possible to have a doctor pre-Hartnell that travels around in space and time, because it was that's what in the lore it was the Hartnell doctor, as far as we know. As far as we know, and when they did the backflash in The Name of the Doctor, right, we saw that it was Hartnell's doctor, right? I'd be very surprised if any creative would come in and rewrite that. So the only explanation is that this is an Earth 2 bunch of doctors who have leaked through. And you can't even call them Earth, because they're in space, they're travelling through space. But for argument's sake, let's call them Universe 2 doctors, right? But they don't know they've seeped through onto another universe, right? So they just think that they don't know Jodie's doctor yet. They don't recognise her because they're from her past. They're from her past, right? So, but I'm going to go bigger than that. What if Jodie is also a Universe 2 doctor? What if something happened during her regeneration when Capaldi was about to regenerate? She seeps through somehow, I can't explain the sci-fi, and she's a Universe 2 doctor, and maybe swap places with the person who actually was going, who actually, Capaldi regenerated into. But I'm going to go even further than that. What if Graham actually is the doctor? But Graham has no memory of being the doctor. Graham thinks he's human. Again, I can't explain that in sci-fi terms and in storytelling terms. That's my theory. Twice Chibnall's had someone mistake Graham for the doctor. He's gagging to tell you. This is one of those Easter eggs. It's one of those hints. He's gagging to tell you that Graham is the doctor. Now, when Stephen Fry's character did it, it was kind of a virtue signalling thing, right? But then Captain Jack makes the same mistake as well. Think about it. Think about it. Could Graham actually be the doctor? Could Jodie Whittaker be a Universe 2 doctor? But even more snazzy, in season 13, right, could this parallel universe doctor travel with our doctor, Graham, next season? And that's why she said she'll be back next season. So you could have two doctors working together, and you would literally, you still have Yaz. You'd have no Ryan anymore if this is true. But then someone's told me the actress who plays Yaz has found a job as well. So that's interesting. New cast maybe, or would it be Graham's doctor and Universe 2's doctor travelling together in space and time? And how interesting and how earth-changing would that become? That's an explanation for that this is Universe 2 doctors and they're not actually rewriting Doctor Who history. I don't think Chibnall would do that. I just don't. But he's found a way to represent women of colour and minorities as the Doctor in a way, in this Universe 2 thing, that to me is absolutely acceptable. Representation is important, and to be honest with you, Doctor Who, New Who has been representing people of colour, Indian actors, people from all walks of life since Rose. And that's good. And that's right. So I don't know why people are so kind of up in arms now. So they are not rewriting our Doctor Who lore. I know this for a fact. This is actually beyond the theory. I've given you a theory about Graham being the Doctor and Jodie being a Universe 2 Doctor. It's up to you. If you agree with that, comments down below. But there's still a lot of questions that we need to know. What is the story behind the Timeless Child? What or who is the Timeless Child? Is the Timeless Child an entity from the other universe? And what will happen to Gallifrey? Is the Gallifrey that she went to from the Universe 2? Could she even travel to another universe? Maybe that TARDIS actually is from that universe. Who knows? It's really exciting, isn't it? Who knows how this works, right? And the other Doctors she's going to meet come from other universes. A hole has ripped up in space and time. So people are coming through the multiverse, right? So there's so many unanswered questions. I love this season. It's really good. There's some great ideas. There's some great sci-fi concepts. I'm going to give Fugitive of the Jadoon a ram-spanking 10 out of 10. It's a brilliant episode. I love the reveal of the other Doctor. I love the reveal of her TARDIS. I love how we saw Jodie as the lonely Time Lord when all that's revealed. Everything she believes is wrong, is a lie. The Time Lords and Gallifrey, even she's still got to find out more things. And she's playing this as an actor in a fantastic way. And the more they write like this and the more she performs like this, she's becoming more and more like the Doctor to me. Please like, share and subscribe. Please comment down below. Share the video, share the channel, and I'll be back next week with even more Doctor Who reaction. See you then.